cartoon of The Art of Self-Defense and How to Be a Sailor in 1944. Perhaps in honor of the contribution Disney had made to the war effort, Mickey Mouse was the password of the Allies for millions of men on the big D-Day invasion, June 6, 1944. Walt Disney produced a cartoon showing Donald Duck paying his taxes faithfully. The film was entitled The New Spirit. It was very successful in getting Americans to comply with the IRS. In 1946, Disney made a film for the public schools for sex education entitled The Story of Menstruation. For the United Nations, Walt Disney created It's a Small World attraction for UNICEF for the 1965 World's Fair. This attraction was moved to the theme parks and has been a major feature for mind control. After learning of the enormous amount of mind control programming going on during and after hours in secret tunnels at Disney as well as in the public facilities, it makes more sense why the Russian Premier Nikolai Khrushchev would be denied a visit to Disneyland by the U.S. government due to security conditions. Some powerful military men have been connected to Disney films. Two former commanding officers of the USS Alabama nuclear sub were technical advisors for the Disney film Crimson Tide. Walt Disney was tied to the U.S. government, and recent disclosures show that he was tied to the FBI as well. Walt used his FBI connection to destroy the life of Art Babbitt, who had led the strike against Disney in 1940. In the 1950s, the Illuminati began organizing covens on the West Coast and began solidifying their power. Likewise, it's clear that Disney didn't have the clout in 1953 with local governments that it does today. Walt Disney was unsuccessful when he tried to get permission from the city of Los Angeles and the Burbank City Council for the construction of Disneyland in the Burbank area. One Burbank councilman told Walt, "We don't want the carny atmosphere here in Burbank." Inconsistently, within a few years they gave permission to Universal to build an amusement park in Burbank, which opened in 1964. In recent years, Disney decided they wanted to build another amusement park across from Disneyland. In order to do so, the interstate highway will have to have changes, and the Anaheim City Council needed to approve a large 55-acre expansion. Once the reader is familiar with the programming scripts, the reader merely needs to watch the Disney Adventures in Wonderland that come on TV in the morning to see Disney mind control at work. Within a few minutes, one morning, this author, Fritz Spingmeier, had seen a white rabbit create a world in your mind with a ring. He watched Alice go through the mirrors, watched the white rabbit, the programmer, read a book to the little girl, and the TV listener be told by the show, "The White Rabbit is our only hope." The deeper alters of Illuminati slaves who are programmed for espionage, for spying and blackmail and seduction and assassination are given programming to live in a fantasy world. They never touch base with reality. Look at Michael Jackson. Much of this type of programming has gone on at Disneyland. Disneyland visitors are taken in a boat where dolls sing an around-the-world theme song, "It's a Small, Small World." The song and dolls play important roles in these alters mind control programming. Some slaves at around age 19 have this type of programming tested to make sure it is solidly in place. The song "It's a Small World" was composed by the Sherman Brothers for Disney, originally as a theme song for a ride in the mid-60s New York World's Fair. The Sherman Brothers were talent that Disney discovered. They were born in New York City and both graduated from Beverly Hills High School. They wrote Disney songs for at least 29 films. Mind control slaves who repeatedly bump into each other but don't know why will be found saying, "It's a small, small world." Both rituals and programming go on at Disney amusement parks during both day and night. Stephen Rockefeller and Walt Disney traveled and spent time together with Dr. Hadley Cantrell, an establishment expert on human behavior. When Walt Disney began Walt Disney World, he sent Card Walker to the Florida Capitol to request quid pro quo, and the governor gave it to Disney. What that meant is that Disney's property in Florida was totally controlled under Disney's jurisdiction. They had their own laws, their own police force, their own hospitals, and their own tax rate. No outside authority would interfere with Disney's jurisdiction. Disney World finances would be untouchable and out of sight by the state of Florida. Never had so much power been given away. Disney World became its own crime syndicate within the syndicate. Disney amusement parks are like a city within a city. They have their own security forces, and the local police allow the Disney security forces to take care of their turf. Disney has their own policies. Some of the security forces can be identified in plain clothes with clean-cut hairlines and have communication devices. The security forces have a headquarters room where Disney TV monitors display live the exit points at Disney as well as other locations. America's Most Wanted has a fairly large file on children who have been kidnapped at Disney amusement parks. One mother who got separated from her child when getting off a train frantically told a guard her child was missing. The guard took her to the monitor room where they saw the kidnapper carry the child out of the park with the boy slumped over his shoulder. In that short of time, the kidnapper had drugged the child, cut his hair different, and put a different shirt on him. As written before, white slavery is part of the Walt Disney is all about. This mother was one of the fortunate few who did manage to find their kidnapped children. An insider states that Disney police are definitely part of those moving and abusing innocent children brought in for occult rituals. In addition, the Disney security forces spy on their own employees. Employees do not enter the theme parks like visitors, nor do they move around like the visitors. They have underground tunnels and underground entrances and facilities for that. One victim of total mind control mentioned that a tunnel entrance was at the Matterhorn Mountain at Disneyland. The Matterhorn was opened by Walt and his good friend Richard Nixon, who rode in the first car down the mountain. The Disney productions have given the Illuminati the cover to bring together illusionists, magicians, and special effects artists without anyone being suspicious. Some of these men were able to apply their talents towards programming children. As an example of their talents, Disney special effects artists were able to create 16 realistic cadavers for the 1989 film Gross Anatomy. Walt Disney Inc. has teamed up with Los Alamos and the Sandia Labs, two other groups which are heavily involved in mind control and people control, to develop body scans, branding, and access codes for the visitors to Disney's theme parks. Each of the Disney theme parks, such as Disneyland, Disney World, Euro Disney, etc., have vast underground facilities. These underground facilities allow many of the workers to get to the ride areas via underground passages. Each theme facility also has a vast infrastructure underground in order to maintain it. The underground areas contain wardrobe design and repair units, fitting rooms, restrooms, cafeterias, security units, computers, freight ramps, utility encasements, and large connecting tunnels. The underground areas also have programming rooms. They have their own power plants and water systems and their own police force. Disney employs 71,000 people at several locations. People are coming and going 24 hours at the Disney theme parks. 3 shifts keep up the 24-hour business. The night crews maintain and repair the parks for the thousands of people that will soon arrive the next morning. Was Walt Disney aware of how Disneyland was used for programming? There is no doubt. Disney lived much of nights at Disneyland and had an apartment at the firehouse near the train station on Main Street. At night, if he was not doing anything else, he'd roam the grounds of Disneyland, scribbling notes on his own distinctive blue paper, which he'd leave for workers to follow the next day. The notes would say such thing as, "Replace these flowers," or "Move that bench." Walt Disney knew everything that went on in his Magic Kingdom. The Epcot Center and the Disney amusement parks market all kinds of occult triggers, including crystals, rainbows, wizards, etc., that reinforce the programming.